We've had funeral services for loved ones in our community that we've lost, and to see this institution that was really the first place that I prayed when I moved to Phoenix, and even before I moved to Phoenix, this was sort of a crown jewel of the community. To see that defamed and to be disrespected in that way was really jarring. But the most jarring thing that we saw in that video at that time was the fact that they were using children. They were indoctrinating children in real time. That really, as a parent, we're taught to teach our kids the best in the world. If my kid asks me some question that is off the wall, I correct them and I say, no, this is not what this is about. This is the correct thing. We're all alike. We all belong to many faiths, many colors, many creeds, but we're all in this human condition together, and that's really what we should be talking about here. You had two people coming in, spewing hatred, but you have hundreds of people here from all colors, black, white, Latino, all different races that are here. You have Muslims, you have Christians, you have people of no faith as well coming here to show what this community is all about.
When I was a girl, when I was in middle school, and thinking about that time and how we saw a wave of hate and bigotry directed towards Arabs and Muslim Americans after the September 11th tragedy. And thinking about what happened this past week here at the mosque, where people with fear and hate filled in their hearts came into a sacred place, came into a safe place, and threatened that. It reminds me of that moment in that aftermath when I was sitting in my classroom and my teacher said incredibly discriminatory things about Palestinians, about people from the Middle East. And reflecting on what happened over the past week and tying that back to the fear and the hate in that moment that was contained in my teacher's hearts, I don't think they realized that they had a Palestinian child in their classroom. I refuse to believe that when we form meaningful relationships with one another, when we take the time to see each other's humanity, that hate will persist. I believe the exact opposite is true. And the fortunate part in that incident was once my teachers were made aware of the wrongdoing, they apologized the next day. And that did go a long way for me having been hurt in that moment. And I don't know if the people from last week who vandalized this sacred space, I don't know if they'll ever see our humanity or if they'll ever come to apologize for the hurt that they caused our community. But I know everyone being here today shows that love and relationships and humanity will always prevail the hatred and fear of the few.
It's used to intimidate and silence our community. And we are here today to say that we're not going to be silent. We're not going to let hate go by the wayside and into the shadows. We're going to bring it out to the forefront and we're going to call it by its name. And we are here to say that beyond that, we're here to show one very, very important thing. And that is that love trumps hate.
We have all been here together before at our Islamic Community Center. We have prayed here upstairs. We have taken classes here. We have had meetings here. We have broken bread together here, sharing iftar meals. We have gathered before when hate was at these doors, and we have protected this sacred space. We gathered here 7 years ago this month when we created and signed the Tempe Interfaith Fellowship's 7 resolutions against prejudice, hatred, and discrimination. We found our common ground. We agreed to partner for peace, to dialogue, to seek to be accurate when we speak about another's faith, to recognize that there is a difference between the teaching of any religion and the actions of misguided followers, to defend the rights of all to express their faith respectfully, and to respect all faiths, language, colors, and ethnicities as an ideal that America has fought to achieve. And finally, we stand against all forms of racism, hatred, religious intolerance, and ethnic bigotry, and seek to preserve the human rights of all people as outlined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And sadly, it made me think of a song from the musical South Pacific. But don't worry, I'm not going to sing to you. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. We here today have a new verse, and I invite all of you to add new verses. You've got to be taught to welcome and care, to respect and include, to honor and love. You've got to be carefully taught. Amen.
But the one thing about this video that is so different is that right before our eyes, we are seeing racism, Islamophobia, hatred passed down from one generation to another. That is something that each and every one of us, I think, assumes, right? We know that hate is taught. We know that not one human on this planet is born to hate. But to actually see how that hatred, how that racism, how that Islamophobia is passed down from one generation to the next right in front of your eyes is quite another thing. And I think that today, what excites me the most is this very playground that they talked about being disease-ridden has children that are now learning to love where there were children learning to hate. And that is something that each and every one of you should walk away with. Because each and every one of us have a responsibility to the younger generations. Each and every one of us. Whether those younger generations follow the same belief systems as we do or not, we have a responsibility to teach love, to teach acceptance, to teach unity and solidarity.
Scripture in Acts 16 and 25, where Paul and Silas were locked up in jail for preaching about Jesus. And in that scripture, they was locked up. And at midnight, they were singing and praying at midnight. Stay with me. At midnight, they were praying and singing. And I was reminded, after thinking about that scripture, we're kind of in the midnight hour right now. We have Trump, who's in office. White supremacy is increasing. Hate crimes is increasing. And we're seeing this in our own backyard. Now let me tell you why I was reminded about that scripture. Even though they was locked up in jail, they stayed consistent by praying and singing at midnight. consistency. Brothers and sisters, as we see what happened in this video, and we see what's happening across this country, we must remain consistent. And we must remain consistent by loving each other. We must continue to be unified as well.
On Sunday with me, yes, she decided that she wanted to spew hateful words at me. And I made the conscious decision that I didn't have to absorb it. I didn't have to take it. It didn't have to be mine. I didn't have to own it. That's why I reacted the way I did. And then when she went by and verbally attacked me again, I ignored it. And then she decided to attack a child, to call a little boy an it. To use the word transgender as a disparaging accusation against a 6-year-old kid. I decided, no, you can attack me all you want. You can call me names all you want. I'm an adult, I can take it. You don't go after children. I don't care what you call them. You don't do that. And she was also illustrating in that video that every single person was a target. She used the I word, illegal immigration. She attacked people who were brown and called them illegals. Asked them if they were American. She attacked people of color in general. And she did it all under the cover of we have a difference of a policy, political opinion. I'm tired of hate being hidden under politics. Attention from the mosque video and the video with me and the child, even after all that, a Republican website, local, party affiliated, posted a notice to come to my event and protest it. It's a multi-candidate event, meet and greet in a park in the middle of the day. They posted that people should go and not only counter-protest it, but call me a terrorist. You can call me ugly. You can talk about my clothes. You can talk about my policies all day. You can call me a socialist. I don't care what you call me, but you don't call a fellow American a terrorist without proof. Period. Ever. And since this happened, not one congressional candidate has reached out to this community and said, we condemn that. Not one. Not one state elected leader statewide has reached out. We've had state candidates in the state legislature. The city of Tempe, I don't think that they could run over themselves fast enough to condemn this. The patriot movement of Arizona, who allowed this to fester, who did not tell her that this was not acceptable behavior, they condemned this over and over and over. But none of our congressional leaders even said, I'm sorry that you experienced this. This is not leadership.
I'm also the president of a student organization at Arizona State University that's very important towards reacting to this narrative of hate. So I'm the president of Sun Devils Are Better Together, so that's an interfaith student group at Arizona State University. So you've heard of it. It's really great. So I was really emotional when this happened. Because when this happened and when I saw this video, I was actually filing out the paperwork to go on medical leave and kind of taking a break from being a student. And so I was like, I'm so exhausted, there's so much stuff going on, and then I realized that us allies don't really have the time to be exhausted. Because while we may be exhausted sitting in our privilege and dealing with whatever else is going on in our life, our Muslim brothers and sisters our LGBTQIA+ sisters, our sisters and brothers of color, and our friends who are non-binary and transgender. They're so exhausted every day, not just by life, but what happens to them when they walk outside of their door. And I realized that, like me, so many of us, we don't have time to be exhausted. And to be really honest, we faced a really ugly truth. I don't know if this has to do with other interfaith organizations as well, but Sun Devils Are Better Together has seen a lot less momentum than we're used to. And when people ask why, I tell them proactive activism isn't sexy anymore. We used to have a hate preacher who was on our campus like every single week, and when you have someone holding up a sign with hate slurs, it's easy for students to say, oh, we don't want to be that. Religion should be something positive. And one of the things that I'm grateful for, even though this is a really ugly season of life for us, this administration, this climate of hate, is that it's gotten people who are complicit, people who don't see problems when there isn't someone screaming, to wake up. So I'm thankful for that, but I just really want to hit home that I know so many of us are busy. I know so many of us are exhausted. I know so many of us are ready to just go home and take a nap and enjoy our weekend, but it doesn't stop there. When you're a member of this community and you're a member of privilege, you can't stop working, because no matter how hard we have it just significantly better than our brothers and sisters and non-binary friends who are suffering from discrimination that they face by turning on the TV, opening the door, walking outside, and simply existing. So don't just be an ally, be an active one, and don't just be a friend who comes out when things like this happen. You're here today, but what are you doing with your friends and your family and your racist uncle? And how are you making teaching moments when we're not seeing horrendous videos that are making national attention? Thank you. I guess that's it.
What's your name?
Fern.
Hello, Fern.
So I recently went to Japan in the winter.
Woo!
And yes, it was awesome. And me and my family actually went to a lot of Japanese temples. And there are two main religions that they practice in Japan. I'm not sure exactly which ones they are. But at each temple for one religion, there was a small shrine or garden or something that was like a tribute almost to the other religion. And I just thought that was really cool, how it was one religion, but they're also respecting and acknowledging the other religion.
And we want to leave something with them so that they remember how much their community stands behind them. So I wrote down this message, and thank you all so much for signing it. I'd like to leave it with the board president and with the imam, and invite you to remember that no one should ever have to face hate alone. Your community loves you very much. As this message says, you are a very valuable part of this community, and you should never have to face any adversity at all. So thank you for being here.